In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Information Architect's The Notebook for Writers. I'll go over the specs, I will do a paper test, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this notebook coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, it really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. This is the Information Architect's The Notebook for Writers, and I'm kind of keeping this white balance card here because my camera has trouble seeing a pure white sleeve here. When I saw this notebook first advertised, my jaw pretty much hit the floor. I was amazed by what they did here. This is a notebook where they did a ruling using a watermark, and that is really incredible. I don't really understand how they did it. I'm very fascinated to know how they did it. If you guys know, let me know. But like normally a watermarked paper, and so like I've worked with watermarked paper. Our Mitsubishi bank paper notebook has, the beautiful three diamonds watermark on here. But like when you're making a notebook, the page size or the paper size is much bigger than the notebook. And so like 16-page signatures is the same thing here. And when the paper is on, the machine, there's like a big long machine, and there's like a roller that is wetted, and when the paper is wet, when it's being produced, there is this rolling like cylinder that pushes into the paper and creates a watermark. Now, normally, because of the size of the paper, you can't perfectly center a watermark. And so like in the Papermind Mitsubishi Bank Paper Notebook, some pages might not even have a watermark and some might have them in the corner. And on my notebook, they're not right side up. They're kind of, vertical, like they read like this instead of like this. That's just the nature of the size of the paper. And when I look at other watermarked papers from companies like Smythson that have their own watermark and Peniter, they're never really centered on the paper. So, and some pages won't even have it. So placing that in a A5 size is bizarre to me. I don't know how they did it. This notebook uses Arival paper, which is a Japanese paper from Takeo, and that doesn't normally have a watermark. So they must have done this somehow afterwards, but it's really, really impressive. This did win a Red Dot Award in 2025, and I think it certainly deserves it. A lot of times the Red Dot Award, it's kind of debatable how prestigious that is, because if you submit your product for review, there's a pretty good chance you're going to win an award. That's just sort of the way that seems to work. But this one, anyway, does deserve it. So this is the outer sleeve. It comes in a box. Some of the nicest packaging, probably the nicest packaging I've ever seen. I would say, this and the Atelier Masubi, their hand-bound notebooks, were really just wows in terms of the packaging. It says IA, and then maybe IA in Japanese. It's Information Architects. It says the notebook for writers. And then on the back here, we have it in Japanese. Watermark lines guide your pen as your words come into focus. The lines fade into the background. IA notebook crafted for writers. And then there's some specs on the notebook here, which 10 millimeter ruling, A5 size, 144 sheets or 288 pages, handcrafted in Japan, and then the AI logo here. So we have this really nice softwood box that a lot of Japanese goods come in. Some Urushi pens come in a box like this, as well as some Japanese pottery I've seen come in a box like this. So really, really nice for a notebook. Never seen anything quite like it. We have this paper here, and then we have the notebook, got their name down there. And then we have, a very cool belly band here, which really just says the same things that we saw on that sleeve. But what's so cool about it is it's not exactly cut out. There's like a film in here, but it's like see-through. Really, really neat the way that they did that. The packaging is like a 10 out of 10. Now, the notebook costs $67, and with shipping from Japan, it's $89, which is a ton. If you buy 3 of these, you get free shipping, but boy, that's a lot of money when you do that. Talking about the cover here, they are these thick card covers, and they're definitely a hardcover, and they're debossed with their like a watermark. So this is actually a better way to see the watermark. So you have a smaller margin up here and a bigger one here, and then 2 margins on the side. It's a 10 millimeter ruling. It's mirrored on the back, and then we just have that same stuff we saw on the outer sleeve there, just handcrafted in Japan, A5, blah, blah, blah. Really nicely done. This is a naked spine, similar to Paper Mind, Mitsubishi bank paper notebooks. You have the bookbinder's mole here, except these are hardcover boards. And the book block goes all the way to the edge of the covers there. So it's very good that they rounded them here, because those could easily be bumped just if you had, loose pages here. So that was good. There's no bookmark on this. Now, one thing I will point out right away, the cover did bow a bit, and I just suspect that it's a difference in humidity. Here in San Francisco, I'm at 42% humidity. In Japan, it can be very humid. So I don't know. We'll see if this in time comes back down, but so far it really hasn't. The binding is very good quality. It's stitched 16-page signatures. Again, 144 sheets or 288 pages. Now, you can't turn it all the way back on itself like you can our Paper Mind notebook, and that's just because you've got these thick boards here, and then you have a thicker book block, but it 100% lays flat. The build quality of this notebook is really, really excellent. I don't think I can fault it. And the bowed board, it's a little bit annoying, but it's not terrible. It wouldn't prevent me from using the notebook. Opening it up on the first page here, you do have like a slightly thicker paper paste down with no watermark, and then you go right into the watermark paper. Now, I'm kind of curious to see if this watermark is even going to show up on camera. The biggest issue here is the watermark, really. It's the most impressive thing that they were able to accomplish this. However, in practice, it doesn't work for me. I have 2015 vision, and I tried using this, in direct sunlight. I have a desk right in front of a window, not the desks you see here, but I have another desk right in front of a window, and even in bright sunlight, it's really hard to see these watermarked lines. So when I'm using this, it doesn't really feel like a ruled notebook. It's just not great for that. I would consider this a blank notebook, and that's really, I think, where this product unfortunately fails. Now, also interesting about these watermarks, like I think they have to be done after the paper is produced, because the paper is Arivial White 81 GSM, which is a very nice, soft, uncoated paper from Takeo. It's a really nice paper, but it normally doesn't have a watermark. So unless they did their own special batch, I think this was done afterwards. The other thing is, it's very, very hard to place. Like, normally you would never be able to perfectly center a watermark, in the middle of the page like this. Like, that's not normal, but it's possible they made their own cylinder. Then they were able to do this. I don't know. Either way, I'm still very impressed that they were able to do this. So looking at the paper test here, it's not perfect. We do see some feathering on the Pilot 6mm. Pilot 2.4mm, we definitely got feathering, maybe a little bit on the Scribble Laudata. The rest of the fountain pens look good, and I would say in general the rest of the pens look good. The Pilot High-Tech Point, that we do see feathering, and there actually is a little bit of feathering on this Omas Flex nib here. Turning the paper over, the Pilot 6mm parallel did really nicely. We do have a lot of ghosting. That is just part of the deal with this paper. We do see spotting on the 2.4mm Pilot parallel. That's very wet pen. Scribble Laudata, the triple broad. I do see the ink trying to come through a little bit, but honestly, this is very, very good performance. I would absolutely write on both sides of the paper with this Scribble Laudata. And then the Aurora Italic, this is a very sharp italic. There's no problems. The Mahjong P139, no problems. Can write fine flex nib, very fine nib, no issues. And the Omas Ogiva flex nib, the vintage pen, there's a little bit of spotting, but not terrible. The Oto Fude ball, we do see some spotting. The same with the Uniball Air Micro, Pentel Energel. So for roller balls, I would say it might be a little bit problematic. And then the Troublemaker pens all came through, but not terribly. Actually, the Copic sketch didn't even make it to the other side, and the same with the Sharpie. So it doesn't penetrate the paper too much. So in terms of the performance, I actually think that this paper is excellent. It's beautiful to write on. It performs very well. It's an uncoated paper, so you can't just dump ink on it. Compared to like the Dandy Laid paper and the bank paper that we offer at the Paper Mind, the performance of this is less, but it's still a beautiful, enjoyable paper to use. So it wouldn't stop me from using this paper. I actually just I really enjoy it, and as long as you don't go too wide or you don't use like really flexy vintage nibs that are going to scratch the surface, it's very fountain pen friendly. So if we look at this, you'll notice that there's like a line in the middle of the Scribo Laudata. That's the watermark. So the ink is reacting to that watermark such that you get a line through there, which is not normal in a watermark in my experience. And you can see it here on the P on this Optima, just the bottom of like the descenders here. That's strange. It wasn't consistently like that though throughout the notebook. Like there were some places where most of it, the ink actually didn't interact with that watermark. So there is some variation there. I do want to point that out. Not really the end of the world, but it would be better, I suppose, not to see that. So what are my pros and cons for the Information Architects, the notebook for writers? Well, the biggest thing here is the design. The design of this notebook is just really a wow. It's very elegant. The packaging is amazing. And the fact that they were able to rule the notebook with a watermark is just incredible. It's mind-blowing for me. I don't know how they did that. I so want to know how they did that. The paper, the Arivial paper, is very enjoyable to write on, and it's quite fountain pen friendly. As long as you're not going like to the triple broad or the more scratchy, flexible nibs, it's quite fountain pen friendly. And the build quality is binding. It lays flat. It's pretty comfortable to use. The notebook is a wow in my opinion. Now, in terms of the cons, the price, it's $89 for one of these if you want it shipped from Japan, or you can buy three and they're only $67, but it's pretty expensive. The notebook did bow, which is unfortunate, so you do have somewhat of an uneven writing surface. However, it's not too bad. The notebook does lay flat because the binding is a very good quality. The biggest issue is like the main feature of the notebook. It's those watermarked lines. I can't see them, and I have 2015 vision. Even in direct sunlight, when you're writing on this, you don't see it. And that's kind of the point of a watermark to an extent, is it's something you see when you hold up a sheet to the light. You can see who made the paper, but when it's flat, open like this, you don't really see it. And when you're writing on it, they really disappear. So like for me, this is not a ruled notebook, it's a blank notebook. And that was the biggest, honestly, the biggest disappointment here is like, oh, I thought we had this new amazing way to rule notebooks. Unfortunately, no. It's a very cool idea. I think the execution in every other regard is excellent, but it's not ruled and it's quite expensive. So that's pretty much it. Do you guys have this notebook? Do you like this notebook? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.